Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I'm one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Archlector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We are covering Before They Are Hanged, the second book in the original trilogy. For this episode, we'll be covering Cold Comfort, The High Places, and Coming Over. So, let's get started. Again, as usual, we know we must thank you all for your support, for your committed following. And just remind you all to follow us on social media and our YouTube page if you can. Harrison just put out, his second part to the Great Northern War. We are still, this is probably more on my end than anything, got to upload the rest of the episodes onto the YouTube page, but
Yeah.
We'll
We are
get there.
slowly catching up with that.
yeah, we got.
It takes ages to export videos, guys. You know that, right?
Right. We were on a good roll, and then we got a little bit I don't know, we just got caught off guard with some stuff, and then it's just taken forever.
Okay, guys, we're just one of those podcasts now.
I guess we are. One of those podcasts. Anyway, so yeah, thank you all again. We really do appreciate it. So let's jump on into our first chapter read through, which is Cold Comfort. The previous chapter ended with Glocta being dismayed at the news that his best friend West had died, or at least that's so they thought, because this chapter, Cold Comfort, is from our boy West's perspective. He's alive and he's doing just great, I guess we could say. Just great. He's barely holding on, ladies and gentlemen. He's barely holding on.
He looks like dog shit.
Yeah, dog man looks better than West here at this point. And they make it they make it to where the Union army is encamped, and the three trees decide that, West, you should go down there by yourself because they might not like the look of us coming down there, the sentries where they're posted. So West is like, yeah, I guess. So he goes down, and right before they goes down, Dogman and Dow, wish him good luck. But Dow has to add in furious. It's like, oh, he's not letting him go with that. And then, so he goes down this little slope where these group of sentries are camped around a little meager fire, and they see him. They freak the fuck out, and they're like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm one of you guys." They're like, "We'll see about that. Cross the river. Get over here." So this man has to wade through freezing water just to get on their side. And then he tells them, he was with Prince Ladislaus's vision. He's one of the very few survivors, and he's Colonel West. And holy fuck, we thought you were dead. And then it cuts to Lord Marshal Burr's tent. Burr is obviously always just stressed the fuck out looking at maps. And when West walks in, he notices that West is he's looking older. He's looking paler. His hair is just ragged. He's lost weight. The man is just he's not doing too well.
He's stressed the fuck out.
Yeah. Not to mention he's a fucking murderer. God.
No, Burr's not looking.
Oh,
good.
Burr. Oh yeah.
Burr.
Burr's not looking good. Yeah. He's
Calm
looking,
down. Get off your moral high horse, Harrison. Everyone's a murderer.
He used to fuck about fucking Ladislaus.
Yeah, who gives a fuck about him?
Well, West does.
Well, yeah.
That's
well,
true.
West is gonna have to get over it. But when he saw Colonel West enter, he got real excited. Like I said, he started up with all his old vigor. So then they kind of just basically talk about how things are going. There's a nice little description of how West definitely has changed. He thought he had a nice, honest, friendly, pleasant look, and now it's just cold. He looks like he's just a lean wolf. Just a prince murderer. That's what he is.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's a scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me put it like this: he's a sister-beating murderer.
That is true. Yeah.
That is true.
If we're being strictly factual.
Technically speaking, I do like how this is a physical showing of his transformation. Of this is who he actually is, rather than how he likes to think of himself as a pleasant person and blah blah blah. Well, all these weeks have worn him down so much that he is furious now. That's who he is. And he doesn't, and that's actually good because Old West was kind of a a-hole. He was an a-hole, just in his own way. And so I think it's like this weird moment of like for him looking at himself, and he's like, God, I'm so different. But also, he's not like completely grossed out by the way he looks. He's just like, damn, I'm kind of, I'm a wolf.
Who's that handsome man?
Bow wow.
I love how Burr's like, oh, West, I missed your cool head around it. And West doesn't think, fucking hell, I'm not a cool head or anything. He's just like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, super chill. Definitely didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
He did say he was super chill when he pushed Ladislaw off the cliff. So, I mean, there's some truth, technically
That
speaking.
is true. That is true.
He did say he was cold. I mean, he knows what he...
And so then he also we realize that Pike is with West when they're in Burr's tent, and West just lies. He's like, "Yeah, this is Sergeant
Yeah,
Pike."
straight away.
Straight away. Didn't even hesitate. He was like, "Sergeant Pike with the Styroscope levies." And Burr's like, "I don't even know who the fuck that is, but great. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you've been, you're a great man in a tight spot and all that jazz." And that they have a cook's daughter. Just West had, I don't even know, did he even prepare that lie? It just flowed right out of him, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Remember, he's all like, "Whoa, I'm pretty good at this."
He's like, whoa.
That's the thing too, is because he's trying to hide this Ladislaw thing, even though it's kind of pointless. He's always like, "Oh, I'm such an honest man," and he lies here. And yeah, for the benefit, I would say, of everybody, but still, he's. It's not that hard to lie. He acts like lying was so bad, and now he's like, "Nah, yeah,
It ain't no thing now."
And you can even see that here when Burr asks him about Prince Ladislaw, and he goes, "Prince Ladislaw, husband surprised us, overran the headquarters. It happened so fast." And he's just like, yeah, fair enough.
He's like, don't blame yourself. You did everything you could. And then Wes is like, I can't look at this motherfucker right now.
Yeah.
And then Wes he changed, he pivoted the topics, like, had there been any other survivors? And he's like, nope, no more than a handful. And so then Wes gets right to business, like, what's the situation? The weather's been shite. They can't move. The Northmen are everywhere. Bethod's just harassing their supply lines. It's been nuts. And then Croy and Polder, they are beefing worse than ever, aren't they? Fucking Burr has to have briefings with them on alternate days, or else there's just gonna be a fight breaking out.
Petty shit ever.
It's hilarious, and the cold is getting to them. It's the cold is doing more damage to them than any kind of like any skirmishes or what have you. And then,
Lord Marshal, I will not be in the same tent as that man.
Remember, these are the same people that refuse to leave any Smiths behind for the army.
Right, these are the same.
They are that petty.
They are. And then Burrs he opines about like how shite the charts and the maps of the land are. Like it just whoever drew these maps, terrible job. But here West comes in clutch, and he's able to tell him that Bethod is to the south, about like 2 days march behind them. Because Three Trees and the other guys, they kept them under close watch as they walked towards Burr's army.
I like how he's just like, he is? He is? Like, what? Like, yeah. It's like 2 days that way. Fucking hell.
Yeah, he's like, well, that's great information. Thank you so much for that. He's like, and then what else? If he's going to pass Dunbrack, he'll be near General Polder's position. So we might be able to get him to actually give battle. So we'll see what happens. Instead of Bethod surprising Burr, it might be the other way around. And then he tells Wes to get. What?
Who the fuck?
What?
I'm thinking, like, as if.
I'm so confused, but okay.
Like anybody could sneak up on Bethod.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like
That's true. And then then Burr tells Wes, you need to get some rest, and he's like, nah, I don't want to. And he's like, man, get the fuck out of here. Go take some rest. He's like, fine, you're right. I actually am really tired, and I should write a letter to my sister. That's gonna be an awkward letter writing. Hey, sis, sorry that I beat your ass before, but just want to let you know I'm alive. All right.
Yeah, yay for me.
And then Pike, as they leave the tent, Pike is like, he's indebted to Wes. He's like, I'm not gonna forget that I'm your man. I'm loyal to you now.
Or as you, He's like, I'm your man.
He keeps
Ladislaw did have an influence on him.
Pardon George, everybody. It's about 1 a.m. for him right now.
No, it's like what, 2 a.m.
Oh, it's 2 a.m. for him right now. Jesus
Yeah.
Lord. Sorry.
Yeah.
So then Wes goes and he makes it to another tent because he's trying to find his old buddies and he's nervous. He's like, oh man, they're just gonna look at me suspiciously. They're just gonna know. They're gonna know I killed that rapist. They're gonna know. And then he walks in and everyone's just like, what the fuck? But they're so happy. You know, they're like, oh my God, where'd you get back? When'd you get here? How did you get here? Where were you at the battle? Were you with Ladislaw? And then everyone's like, all right, calm down. And then Wes, he just explains that he got there this morning and he would have come right away, but he had to need to take a bath and a razor, you know, need to get a shave. And then he needs to meet with Marshal Burr first. He was with Ladislaw at the battle, and he got here by walking across the country with the help of 5 Northmen, a girl, and a man with no face. That's so good. And then, you know, then he's like, they're pouring him liquor. And he's like, don't be shy now. And then he, you know, what else?
It is kind of sweet that they're just like immediately so friendly with him, though. It's like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. You know? Like it's kind of a heartwarming moment too, because Wes is all like, oh, I'm so beaten up. And then they're all like huddled up and they're like, oh, my friend, you're alive. How was it? You know, I can't believe you did this. And like, they're all like, I don't know. They're exactly what friends should be like, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're obviously really happy. They're just, you know, they gave him the best chair and the best chair was the one that was least likely to just collapse.
Yeah. Back with the boys, you know, you get the best chair, you got the drink, and they deal him in straight away.
Yeah. We learned that Lieutenant Jallenhorn is now Captain Jallenhorn by being able to deliver that letter. So good on him.
Yeah, he, you know, I don't know. I think he would probably, he's a great lieutenant, but I'm not sure about him being a captain. Probably more of a mediocre captain.
Yeah. Jallenhorn.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I like to think he got promoted just because he carried that one message.
Or that is just.
And it's like, that's it. Now you're qualified for captain. You carried a message over a long distance. That's it. That's the qualification.
Well, I think the it's very possible too that I think that is what happened. But at the same time, you know, war and all, a lot of people die. They probably have lost.
Yeah.
That makes
So they're like, he was like, we'll bring you up. Yeah, you deliver that message. So we need a spot filled anyways. That works.
That makes sense. And then they talk. Go ahead.
I love when they go to deal him into the game of cards, and it's like, well, I haven't got any money, and it's like, don't worry, we don't play for money anymore. Without Luthor to make poor men of us all, hardly seemed worth it.
Yeah, here's where he finds out that Giselle did not travel with him, and that Brenton's like, this motherfucker's probably still in Adjoa, just banging all these broads and all that. However they talk in fictional times, and then Wes is just like, I don't like that. That's pretty true. He was just out there playing. Oh, God damn it. Anyway, so and then they're just playing for honor, even though they don't have none of that there. And then they're all just cracking up. They're drunk and they're happy. And then just Jallenhorn's just happy that he doesn't have to tell Artie that Wes is actually dead. He was like, oh fuck. And what else?
They basically kind of go back and forth, like, what was the battle like? Yeah. And Britt and Casper are like, oh my God, you survived. And they're like, yeah, because this woman. And they're like, oh, a girl. You know, they're like, oh, what a woman.
I like it. He's like,
woman.
I got knocked on the head, and next thing I remember, this Northern was above me with this, and he's got the sword, and they all look at it like,
right? Bloody hell.
Yeah, bloody hell. Somehow that sounded worse than yours. I don't know how.
Exactly. Because you're asleep, George. And then he tells him that the girl smashed the guy's brains out with a hammer. He's like, wow, sounds like quite a woman. He's like, you could say that. And he's like, you could really say that. And then he goes,
he's like,
yeah. Then he drinks his drink. He stands up and he's like, there's something I need to take care of. Like the classic Robin Williams line from Good Will Hunting. He's like, got to go see about a girl, right?
Yeah. Oof.
And then he go. So we cut, and he's traveling. He's looking throughout all the tents, and he finds the biggest fire because he knows like the Northmen. They know their shit. They're gonna have the best fire. And he hears like some kind of sound, in the background, and he meets up with Dow and Three Trees, and they are drunk as shit.
I'm fucking drunk as shit.
And then we find out that like Tol Duru is off somewhere in the woods, just drunkenly singing some song.
Cut him to the bones. No, to the bones.
And then they've also been smoking Shagga, right? And Three Trees is like, and I've been smoking.
I was wet as the fucking cringer.
And then he goes, "Where are we, Dow?" And Dow, he does this perfect thing. He goes, middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Middle of fucking nowhere.
And then he asks, "Where's Cathal?" And then Dow's like, "Oh, she's around, up that way, I think." And then Three Trees,
That was such a.
and then Three Trees, he's like, "Yeah, around, around." And then Tol Duru's just still singing, "He was the bloody knight." And then he goes and he sees like a couple tents. One has like some like, as you could say, lantern light in it or whatever. And he hears a woman's laughter. He's like, "Oh, okay, that's what she is. Young hunky dory skipping up the hill." And then he just hears like a He's like,
That's not laughter.
That don't sound like laughter. It sounds more like a growling or something. And it's more like a He's like, "What the fuck?" And he peers through the gap in the tent, and he just sees a woman's bare back squirming up and down. Closer still, and he can see her hair, shaggy brown and messy. It's Cathal, and a pair of sinewy legs stuck out from underneath her towards West, 1 foot almost close enough for him to touch its thick toes wriggling. Then they turn around, and it's the dog man, and he's out here pumping away on Cathal.
My man, the dog man. I love how like he always had so many us in there too. Like it's just enough to make it uncomfortable. The first one, you were like Wes. You're like, wait, what is that? And then the second one, you're like, oh, they're having sex. Third one, you're like, okay, I get the idea. The fourth one, you're like, oh god, how long is this gonna go on?
And Wes is horrified, but also strangely aroused, apparently.
And he's like, should I stay and watch, or should I leave?
Should I join them?
Yeah.
And he decided on to leave without really thinking, and I guess he tripped over a tent peg, and then that caused like a little bit of a ruckus, and then
What the fuck?
And so West is just running away, and Dogman is just like, yeah, I can imagine like the tent collapsing on them, and Dogman is just struggling, and he's like, "Was that you, Dow? Was that you?"
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
And that's how we end the chapter, by Wes being cuckolded by the Dogman. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew that the Dogman was Mr. Steel Girl? What would you guys
I
rate
don't
this
even
chapter?
feel sorry for him,
Not really.
I don't either. No.
I feel like Wes deserves this somehow.
Somehow. Well, I mean, really,
Well,
who
I
saved
feel
her?
like
He saved her.
I feel like he got this notion in his head, like, oh, I'm the hero, I saved her.
Right.
That she like
She
maybe
owes
not
him.
like in a
Yeah.
like she owes me. Yeah, like you said. And so it's actually really satisfying on like maybe the first time you're like, oh no, Wes can't catch a break. But anytime after that, you're like, yeah, Wes, that's right. You place. You made that. Like this is his final thing. I feel like is this girl him this nobility? Like, oh, I deserve this or that because I'm a good person.
Right.
Whenever
Right.
that's still very toxic.
Right. But to be fair, Wes, it never gets easy for Wes. The guy can't catch a break. To be fair.
I mean, that is true. That is true.
That is true. Yeah.
So anyway, what do you guys rate this chapter?
Harrison.
I think I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 9.
Ooh.
I think it's a very pleasant chapter. It's a really nice change of pace over the kind of more serious recent chapters.
Mhm.
I think it's nice that he gets reunited. We get some exposition on the army, learn that Bethod, with not even the majority of his army fighting the majority of the Union, is still kicking their ass basically. And I like how he has an interaction. He has an interaction with his friends. We get the crew all drunk and stuff. It's like the only time we see Three Trees acting like silly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's kind of hilarious.
Mhm.
Tolderu's song is somehow on more read-throughs creepy almost.
Yeah.
Like because of the way we understand how the world really is. Like so the first time you're like, oh, they're singing about Logan. That's nice. The other times you're like, oh, they're singing about the bloody I thought that's also really nice for world building later on because that's how the Northmen spread their songs and stuff. Like their stories is through songs.
How they spread their lore. Right, gotcha.
Their lore, yeah. And I like how Dow is all mischievous. Like
he's like, she's up
but he
there,
also-
right?
yeah.
Yeah. She's around.
And I also like how he in that moment as well, like how he sees West as like one of them, like he respects him.
Yeah.
And I like that's consistent. I just love Dow's character. So 7. I think that's a good overall chapter.
Very good, very good. George?
I reckon I'll give it a 6, just a little bit less. I think
A 6 out of 9. Wink, wink. Huh?
Yeah. 6 out of 9. Just because, I do like all the reasons you said, but at the same time, it's a bit, a bit melancholic. It's a bit more of a slower chapter, so just one less.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna, in honor of Cathal putting her hand near the dogman's buttocks, I'm gonna give it a 6 and a knuckle out of 9. I cracked myself up. Anyway,
I was waiting for you to like just dig your own hole for a second.
What, you never knuckled yourself? All right. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a funny chapter, and even when obviously I don't think his heart was broken, but he obviously was attracted to Cathal. But just the manner and how everything just came to a shattering halt. It was just hilarious. The Northmen were hilarious. It was a nice chapter, but not a lot moved forward. I guess you could say, except the fact that okay, we know Bethod is 2 days away. Great, and West is reunited with Burr. Cool. All right. I mean, I like the chapter. It's good, but 6 and a knuckle. Alrighty. So we'll just move on to the next segment, which is Best Meme of the Week. Georgie.
So this week we have user on Reddit, Darth Vader is my waifu. Which is, we got through off to a good start already.
Nice.
And it's on 69 votes at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Extra essential. And it's just it's a picture of sad Grimace from McDonald's. And it's Stour Nightfall when he can't watch a pig fuck Ricker.
So stupid.
It's very stupid, but it's pretty good at the same time.
Oh, that's just awful.
So yeah, thank you very much. Darth Vader is my waifu.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, so we'll move on to our second chapter read through, and this is the high places. And here we start off with Giselle's perspective. We're back in that little fellowship, and they have made
I see what you did there.
And they have made it to the Broken Mountains. And I'm assuming these are some giant mountains.
I learnt a new word in this intro here.
Is it
from Joe? Yeah, vertiginous.
Oh yeah,
which just means very steep. Oh, okay. I was quite disappointed when I looked that up. Actually,
my American brain has blotted that out. I just was like, I don't know what that is. I'm moving on.
He's describing the mountains, and he says it's like a child's vertiginous notion of what a mountain should be.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Basically, what a child would draw a mountain on. like on a piece of paper, just like
Yeah.
Mountain.
mountain. So
Anyways.
here we get some exposition from Baez about the fortress that used to be here. It was a strong fortress that marked the western limits of the empire before people settled across the far valleys, the valleys on the far side. And they can't. He announces that they can't take the cart past the down the pass and or up the pass, and they can't take the horses either. It's too steep. So then Baez starts talking about like how difficult the journey is going to be here. They have to travel.
In my youth.
Yeah, and what did he said that like
That's
later
later.
on? Yeah,
That's later. I know. I just think of it every single time.
and just they have to pack light, just water, all the food they have left, and just some warm clothes. And then Longfoot hears like the birth of spring is perhaps not the best time to cross a mountain range. And then Baez is just he's claps back at him, and the navigator, brother Longfoot is just like, I'm just gonna shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And just the pass is well sheltered. The weather should be far from their most pressing worry, but they're gonna need ropes. But it might have been washed out. You just never know. There might be some tough climbing. And Giselle's just like, I can hardly wait. And then he also is like, oh, and we also have to bring this, and it's the box from the house of the maker, the thing that's supposed to hold something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super dense,
super heavy. And then Logan, he's just like, who's gonna want to carry that? No volunteers? Nope. Guess it's me. And he wraps it up in some blankets to cushion it and puts it in a bag, and he puts it, he puts it in a pack that he then just puts on his back, and they get ready to go. And then they just all start packing. They were getting ready, and then Kwai he unhitches the cart horses and takes off their saddles, and Giselle does it for the other two horses, and then he just looks at that horse and he's like, "Yeah, go, be free."
It's such a shame we've got to leave them here in the middle of nowhere, and Logan just fucking kills it.
Well, Pharaoh did.
Oh, Pharaoh just fucking kills it.
And what it was like, the horse just looked at him sadly without moving, and then just started nibbling. And then I was like, "Oh, this is nice." Giselle is just patting, and he's like, "Well, he'll find his way home in no time." And then Pharaoh's like, Pharaoh's like, "Or not," and then like this made me hate Pharaoh for a good 5 minutes. I was like, "What the fuck?" Well, I totally understood it, but god damn it, I love horses. Don't be doing that.
It's so cute because it's nibbling at the grass. Joe used those words on purpose. Like, it's just all, it's so quaint, and just I was all innocent. Like, you're free now.
And you know what? Pharaoh's a dick, because she could have done that to any other horse, but she chose that horse.
She fucking loved it too. She probably was like, hey, that's right, you stupid Union bastard pink.
Yeah, not cool. She could have done it to a car horse or something. Fucking dick.
And then Logan is all like, you can't get attached to things, Giselle.
Not out here in the wild. Yeah. So anyway, so then they start climbing, and it's a difficult climb. And then
steep as shit.
Then it switches over to Logan's perspective. He's they're I guess him and Pharaoh are they're lagging behind a little bit because they're out of earshot. And he's just thinking to himself, he's just staring at Pharaoh's ass. It's like, He didn't think about it before they smashed or, had sex. And, but afterwards, he's like, man, she's got a nice butt.
I never realized how sensual this book got for several chapters.
Yeah, right? It was just back to back to back.
Yeah, it's like the floodgates, isn't it? He's done the first one now, and he's just got to let it all out.
Yeah. He's like, this is what men are actually thinking. Before it was like, ooh, the curve of her waist. And now it's like, I was staring at her ass.
And he's lost in thought, right? And out of nowhere, he just hears, what are you looking at? And he's like, oh, shit. And he could have lied. He could have said anything else. And she's like, you know what? I'm looking at your ass. Sorry, but it's a good one. No harm looking, is there? And then he just walks right past her. And she's like stunned. And he's like, ah! And then 10 paces away, he looks back. And he's like, what are you looking at? Oh. So this is how Pharaoh and Logan, two murderers, just flirt. It's just angrily, I guess.
Very angrily.
I'm looking at your ass. What you gonna do about it? It's like, all right.
Fine, I'll look at yours too, Pink.
And then
How's it feel to be objectified, Pink?
oh man. And then what else? They get to another spot. Harrison, you want to take this part over a little bit? Like I guess they're at a really deep valley or like a jutting cliff or something.
Yeah, the way I kind of read it is like they're like in like a little when they kind of up in the, not in the peaks, I guess, but they're high up and they're kind of like in a little divot between two mountains, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's like a little valley maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And they find like this pool of water, and it's like a little tiny pond. It's a little shallow grouping of water. Obviously, it's there for a while because there's fish in there. And I like this. I like the buildup of the scene because like Giselle walks up there and Logan walks up there and like standing there next to each other, and then they're looking down, and Logan's all like, "Oh, this is this reminds me of home. This is like in the high places, and the mountains always win." He's talked about how he used to like train in the mountains, which would explain at least why Logan is so physically imposing, because he trained like Goku.
Did he now?
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
You're being old, Jeff.
Listen, Dragon Ball Z was my time. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. And he's all like, Giselle's trying to make conversation with him, and it's all like, like, what do you, are you going to go back to the north? And Logan says something weird after all his talk, and he's like, maybe I've got some scores to settle. Some deep, hard scores.
Yeah, that's a bit dark.
Yeah. And he says, well, maybe I'll let him go. Maybe.
Or maybe I won't. Oh, maybe I will.
He's got nothing but more blood. And then he's like, well, what about you, Giselle? Well, you got plenty of time. You're young. And he's like, I've been thinking, there's this girl, Artie, and I think I love her. So interesting. And I've been thinking, well, maybe we might marry. And Logan's all like, good plan. Marry her. Sow some seeds.
It just sounds like I don't know anything about farming.
He's like, you got those kind of seeds. And I do like what Logan says here. He's like, listen, take one piece of advice, right? If you'll take one from like someone like me, don't do anything that involves killing. Leave the fighting to idiots. And Giselle's like, I'm never going to fight again. I am done. I have one scar too many. And then
which is
very nice.
It's interesting for who he is, to think about why he's saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from a place of fear right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important to note.
Fear, and I think just like he got hit with some harsh truths, like the harsh reality.
No, for sure. No, for sure. I just think it accentuates aspects of the story later.
Oh, okay. Right. I get you. Mm-hmm. And then we cut over to Pharaoh's point of view. They made it past to where they just were, now to this little area where there's like a pool of water. There's some rocks, some tree trunks that they can all just chill by. And Logan is like, he's because Pharaoh's like, there's fish in here, and he's like, well, guess what I'm gonna do? And he goes, I'm gonna tickle me some fish out that pond or that pool. And she's like,
he's all like grinning at her too, like he's like, I watch this woman.
Yeah, because she's like, wait, you're gonna tickle him out of the pool with your hands? She's like, you got clever enough fingers for that? He's like, I reckon you know.
Smooth.
And then Luthor comes around. He's like, what is he gonna do? Fool thinks he can catch a fish. What, with his hands? What? Watch and learn, boy. And he does it right there. He just, I don't know how, he just catches one and tosses it on the bank. It's like, all right, good for him. And then Longfoot, he
fucking long.
Tricking fish out of the pool, a most impressive and remarkable skill.
And he tells a story about how he once met a man who was like, what are the greatest fishermen? And no one gave a fuck. And he's just like,
they would jump into his lap. They would indeed. And everyone's just like that.
It's so good though too, because of how they all react to Logan is like why people love this group so much. It's because they all have such unique and perfect reactions for their characters. Is uh, Luthor is like he can't do it, and then Pharaoh's just mean, and Brother Longfoot's like, oh, that's a great skill, nice, but also there's a story.
Yeah.
And then Bias walks up, does not give a shit, and is like, can you believe I used to do this back in my day?
Yeah, he's exhausted. He's like, perhaps we should camp here. Back in my day.
It's like I love how he's like, I ran through this pass in 2 days, and it's like, yeah, of course you did. Of course you did.
Of course you did, Gramps. Okay. Let's get back to the cookies now.
And I fucking love this part too. He's like, Luthor's like, I've been thinking, and Bias's eyes tired, swiveled sideways, thinking and walking.
Pray do not strain yourself, Captain Luthor.
That was great.
He's just like, oh Jesus Christ!
And I like how just completely ignores that barb. It just keeps going.
Like, whatever. And he's like, so why the edge of the world? And he's like, yeah, we're not doing it for the exercise. And he's like, yeah, but why is whatever that we're looking for there? And then he talks about what should be done with the seed, like what Juvens, Badesh, and Canadius decided, like after they, took care of Glustrad, what should be done. And in between Bias telling stories, we have Logan saying, got another one. And basically find out like Canadius wanted to study it. Juvens didn't know how to destroy it. He's like, all right, fine, you can study it. And then over time, the mistrust between the two brothers grew and grew. And so Juvens, basically wanted Canadius to give up the seed. And eventually Canadius relented. And so the three sons, Juvens, Badesh, and Canadius, they travel to Shabulian. I don't know. Shabulian. Okay. The most remote place in this whole circle of the world. And they commanded the spirit there to never to release it, according to Kwai. But apparently Kwai is ignorant. Bias has to correct him here. That Juvens told the spirit to release it only to a man, or Budeshin, only to a man that carried Juven's staff. And they're like,
which is where we learn that Juven's staff is just a stick.
It's just a stick. It's just some regular old.
It's kind of great though. I love that actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I dig that too. And then Giselle's like, "That's it." And he's like, "What'd you expect?" Sorry, I had to take a drink.
It's supposed to be like more elaborate, and it's just not. it's so first law. Like it starts off like, oh, this is gonna be epic, and then by the end, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's good. It makes sense, but okay.
Yeah, basically, Bias just tells Luthor that power comes from the person, from the flesh, not from a piece of stick. If anything, more so from the head, if anything. And even then, you hear Logan in the background. I love this pool.
Yeah, he just keeps getting more and more efficient.
Yeah.
He's just perfectly happy doing that by himself.
He's totally content.
Mm-hmm. And the Longfoot is worried. He's like, well, listen, if those three, which are basically gods, feared this thing, shouldn't we kind of fear this thing too? But it's like, I got it. A weapon in the wrong hands obviously could mean tragedy, but in the right hands, well, my hands are right, basically is what I'm trying to say. And Pharaoh isn't so sure that she trusts Baez, but she's gone so far now. So
whatever, revenge. Ah!
Yeah. And then she looks at she's looking at Logan, and she catches him staring at her, and she's like, God damn it, he's always looking at her. And they met, and they looked up at each other again. Their eyes met, and he grinned at her just for an instant, and she's like, God damn it. And she thought, it's like, this is how I'm going to show I'm flirting with him. She grabs a fish and just cuts his head off and removes his guts and tosses it in the water. And then I was like, it had been a mistake to fuck him, of course. But things had not turned out so very badly after all. And then Logan Nine Fingers catches one more fish, but it escapes his grasp, and he falls for it. I mean, he reaches for it, and he falls flat on his face in the water. And Baez does a nice, I thought it was pretty funny. He's like, every man has an adversary cleverer than himself. Could it be Master of Nine Fingers that you have finally found yours? And here we go. We a little bit of a time jump and
3 in a row, baby.
3 in a row. Giselle wakes up with a start. It's in the middle of the night. They had just finished eating some of that fish that Logan caught for them, and he turns around because he wants. There's still a bit. You've got to set this up properly. Giselle turns around because he wants to feel the warmth of the fire, whatever's left, and then he's noticing that Logan's blankets
You're moving around. That's suspicious.
And he thought it was Logan just turning in his sleep, but they kept on moving, and they did not stop. Huh. And then he realized that accompanied by a soft grunting sound. Harrison, take it away. At first, he had taken it for bias and snoring, but now he saw otherwise. He made out Nine Fingers' pale shoulders and arms, thick muscles straining, and under his arm, squeezing hard at his side, there was a dark-skinned hand.
I love how he just reverts back to old Giselle here. He's just like...
Yeah, his mouth, he just dropped, and he's like, Logan and Farrell, and from the sound of it, there could be no doubt that they were coupling.
What was more, not a stride from his head? And it's like,
damn,
where did they?
position.
Why are they? How are they? It was a dad in position is what it was. It's two savages rutting.
In full view. He had half a mind to get up and kick them as you might kick a pair of dogs. And then there's a voice, shit. And Giselle's like, oh, did they see me? And he's like, hold on.
No, Logan just slipped out.
Wait, who was it? It was just Logan?
Yeah. Oh, it just says that voice.
In the audiobook, it's Logan.
It's Logan? Like, hold on. Then it's, that's it.
Logan's also the one who always goes, that's it. He's always the one that says that.
And then Giselle, he squeezes, he rolled away and he squeezes his eyes shut.
His eyes, he's crying.
He's crying because he's lonely. Oh, poor Giselle. And that's where the chapter ends. God damn
I do
it.
find that quite interesting that like he has that visceral reaction, but then, he kind of thinks about it a bit more and it's just that he's jealous.
Well, it's because he's self-aware now.
Yeah, he knows that he's lonely.
He's self-aware, but he doesn't know that he's self-aware.
Well,
yeah, I guess that's true.
Well, what I mean is like you only talk to other people about being self-aware if you have someone else to talk to about it. Giselle never has anybody else to talk to except we'll get to it later about him, like talking about how their brains work. I mean, who is he going to talk to? So he doesn't talk about how he's self-aware, but right here, he takes a minute to realize that he's just lonely. Whereas before, he was like, fucking stupid people.
Animals just fucking each other. So, how would you guys rate that chapter?
I'm gonna give this one a 6 again, to be honest, because
6 and 9 out of 6 out of 9. Can't help it, huh?
It's only because I know that there's so many really good 9 out of 9 chapters coming up. Like, these chapters are really good. They're really good in terms of like the character building, the little bit of exposition we get with Juvens and Bellish and Canadius going to take the seed, and then the fucking.
Because we gotta. Go ahead, George. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, he did. Well, that's just that you get the comedy at the end as well, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Harrison, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that there are.
How does it feel, Harrison?
Now you.
All right, Jeff, your turn.
No, now you may speak, Harrison. Go ahead.
I shouldn't have even apologized. Should have just cut him off and kept going. Fucking big dick energy. Be like, fuck you, George. You're done talking. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 9 for the same basic reasons. It's really good, but like we have to compare it to like all the other chapters in the series, and it makes it difficult sometimes because this is a really good like interaction of characters. But that's what it is. It's just really good interaction of characters again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. the immature 10-year-old in me wants to give it another 6 out of 9, but I'm gonna split the difference. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 9 fingers. The nice exposition. There's some movement in terms of like plot, like not really, because they got to the mountains and now they're traveling through the mountains, but we're getting more like inner character work. We have Baez being, Baez with his back in my day, I did this in 2.5 hours, and Giselle catching the Colonel West treatment almost.
Yeah, almost.
Almost, because it's not like he had the hots for Pharaoh or anything, but so 5 out of 9 for me.
Sweet.
So we'll move on to our character spot. Go on, take it away. Character spot, take it away.
Harrison.
Sorry, I was quiet for a minute because I was gonna see if George wanted to do it, and then I realized he wasn't gonna do it, and then I started laughing.
Go on, you can do it, dude.
So try this again. So now we'll move on to our character spot.
Our character spot this week, because it was kind of tough because there's a lot of characters, but we kind of have to save some. It's gonna be Brent. What is his last name?
No, the Princess.
That's his last name.
What's his?
We don't get his first name, do we?
Oh, it's something Dan Brent.
I don't even think it's a Dan. Is it? Does he have a Dan?
He's never referred to, is it?
I don't know.
He's. Yeah.
Okay.
Because remember, because they talk about how his parents are nobility, but they're not rich. That's why he's an officer. He got a position because of his nobility, but he doesn't have the money to like buy higher commissions and all that. So he has to save his money, and that's why they got mad at Giselle for taking advantage of him in the beginning. Because he doesn't have as much money as you, Luthar. But Wes is the only commoner among that group who is an officer. He's one of the few officers who is of quote unquote peasantry.
Okay, all right, cool. So talk to me about Brent. Brent.
He has a lot that like his character seems super basic right now, but it's also interesting, as we've talked about before, how he reacts with Giselle. Because Giselle is like, he like hates Giselle, but because he wants to be Giselle.
Yeah, but Giselle's a shit to him too, though.
Well, right, but like, there's lots of people out there who are shits, but you want to be,
That's true.
I mean,
okay.
Elon Musk, guys.
And we are getting into spoilers here, so I do find it interesting that even though Brent is a lot more of a, let's say, not as an important character as everybody else, like he ends up being in nearly every single book.
That's true, right? Isn't he?
He's in every book except
Best Served
Cold.
That's right.
Yeah, he's like I do like how he's kind of the background character, and to see where he is at now and how he is very childish, and to see what he ends up becoming and how he changes, oddly enough, feels like very logical, and we probably will do him again later on in more detail.
Yeah, we will.
But
when we get to Wisdom of Crowds.
We thought that it's interesting now who he is and how basic he seems, but where he goes to eventually is it's just good. It's excellent setting up of a character that he doesn't just like. He obviously at this point, Joe's not like, okay, it's gonna be my plan for his character, but he doesn't waste his character. He does this a lot with a lot of characters, as we'll see through the series. Is a character who seems like just a random character. He'll pull back around, like he doesn't waste them. And it's very satisfying to see a lot of these characters come back, and Brent's just one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have to agree with that. Like you said, Joe doesn't waste characters. There's a way, like he finds a way to like tie them back into like the rest of like other stories, but in a way that works.
I mean, shit. Even fucking. I know this is way off topic, but even Mons' father, his name is Japo.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, his name
It's
is
such a good
yeah,
detail
yeah, yeah.
that is never like they don't talk about it, but that's her father's name.
Yeah, I forgot about
So,
that. That's right. Well, but that's jumping ahead to a couple
oh
books.
yeah,
All right,
oh
calm
yeah.
down, calm down, calm down.
Ah!
All right. Well, thank you for that. Let's move on to our third chapter read through, which is Cole. Oh,
Coming over.
hold on. Why did I type that? I'm a fucking moron. Sorry. Let's move on to our third chapter read through, which is Coming Over. And we start this one off from the Dogman's perspective. The Dogman and the other Northmen, they are looking. Are they looking at Dunbreck? I think they are.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
Dunbreck.
Right. So they're looking down on Dunbreck from some kind of like high spot, and they could see that obviously Bethod has control of Dunbreck, but he's not in there most likely. He doesn't want to be uh, contained, within a castle. He'd rather be able to move.
Mm.
And what else? And they're mesmerized by the size of Dunbreck, and they're like, Jesus Christ. And they don't even.
How the hell did he conquer that thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Dow talks some shit about like how the hell did the Union just let Bethod take him in, take that wow.
They bloody let him pass without a fight.
And then Three Trees is like, listen, man, Bethod got around you once or twice too, and he's like, yeah, you got me there, And then Dogman is like, he gets real strategic, right? He's like, he'll have men up on the ridge and maybe in there in those woods. Yeah, around the moat. I shouldn't wonder. And then Dow's like, you got it all figured out, don't you? Well, there's just one thing we still need to know. She suck your cock yet?
I love that change of tone as well. Like it was so serious, and that was just like, so.
It's such a guy moment.
It's
Like
such a-
bros, like
yeah.
guys, this is serious. Somebody busts out the joke.
And Dogman's like, what? And Dow's like, well, it's a simple question, isn't it? Has she or has she not sucked it? And then Dogman's like, shit on that. And
She
then-
didn't want to.
What?
She shit on it.
Like, and then I love this. Like Tall and Dow are getting along really well here. They're like, "You was right, Dow. They don't do it the same down there in the Union."
I love that Dolaru's just like always busting up at his own jokes. It's like hardcore.
And then Dogman's like, "Maybe you guys should suck each other's. At least it might shut you up." And Dow's like, "I don't think so. You know how you know how Tall is for talking with his mouth full." And then that's good. That's good. These two,
That's
man.
some banter. That
I love that. And then Dogman's trying to like give him a look of like, you better stop it before I kill you. He's trying to give him the Clint Eastwood stare, and it ain't working. Not on these guys. And then Three Trees like, all right, lads, settle down. Now let's see if we can find out where they're all at before the Union come up. And Dogman's like, one of us better go see? Like who do you guys think is gonna be? And then Black Cow's like, I don't know. Basically, what he says is, whoever got to stick his dick in some hooch, better go. But he goes,
whoever stuck his twig in the fire.
whoever stuck his twig in the fire last night should be the one to face the cold this morning. Hey, lads. And they just like, yeah, get the fuck down there, boy.
That is such a good like little what do you call them? And is it something ism?
Simile.
A simile for Northmen, because they're always cold and shit.
Oh, like an aphorism.
An aphorism.
Oh,
There it is.
Lots of different.
That too.
that's simile. I was like, this ain't poetry, motherfucker.
It is.
Whoa, Jeff, whoa! It is poetry. It's writing.
It's
beautiful.
It's
It's like Star Wars.
space opera. Okay. Anyway, so then some time passes and Dogman's now scouting, and he's just like, God damn it! Why am I being stuck? He's always the scout. Well, he's good at it. And then he's noticing there's footprints around them. He's like, wait a minute, the snow's melting. The footprints shouldn't be showing like this. What the fuck? This is made recently. And then I know he just hears a voice. You're the Dogman, ain't you? It's like, oh shit. Who wants to describe this gentleman?
Go for it, George.
Go for it, George.
So we get a lot. Well, okay. It's really hard to talk about Shivers without going into spoilers.
It's okay. Just
Well, I
describe
like
it.
how we see him with one eye. You just
Mm-hmm.
see the one eye looking out of the shadows. Tall,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got long hair. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really all we need to know about him. He's obviously one of Bethel's dudes.
Uh, no, so we find out this is Shivers. And he's like, listen, I'll leave these here, my axe and my shield. I am just here. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to talk. How's that sound to you? He's like, Dogman's like, sure if you want, but if you try more than talking, I'm gonna put an arrow through your neck. And he's like, all right, fair enough.
I just love how tough Dogman is always trying to be, and like he is tough. He is a hard bastard, but
Yeah.
like no one takes him seriously. They're like, okay, Dogman.
Well, I mean, you never know. He probably is taking him seriously, but he's just trying to be like real, like it's okay, I'm okay. He's talking to Dogman like as if he's a dog, like an anxious dog. Hey, just so I know, just so we can build up some trust. You never saw me. If I had a bow, I could have killed you. And he's like, well, do you have a bow? He's like, no. And he's like, well, then that's your mistake. You stop right there, buddy. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. He's like, all right, so I'm the dog man. Who are you? And he's like, well, do you remember Rattleneck? Yeah, but you're not him. Of course not. I'm his son. And Dogman's like, oh, you better come up with a different answer because I know Nine Fingers killed Rattleneck's son. He's like, yeah, I'm the other one. And he's like, what? What? But he was just
Was
a
it that
kid.
long ago? Oh, and he's
He's
like,
like,
and he starts.
oh,
It's like,
fuck.
wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, oh dear.
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, so what's your name? He's like, Shivers, they call me. He's like, oh, how come? He's because my enemies shiver with fear when they face me. Really? No.
That's so.
Who wants to tell this story? The story's great.
So he goes, yeah, first time out raided, like fell in a river while drunk. He lost his trousers and ended up back in the camp shivering with his fucking nuts sucked up into his belly. So that shivers. And I love how like a lot of the Northman nicknames are like ironic.
Yeah.
They're like
They're
prison nicknames.
Yeah, they're either ironic or they're on the nose.
Yeah.
But then Shivers does say, like, he made up for it in the fighting, like he's got some skill, and that he has some men that follow him. 2 score Carls, which is about what? That's 24 people?
Score is 20.
Score is 20, so he has 40 people following him. Just about?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Uh, some of them are from his, they were followers of his father. Others picked up like, along the way, and basically the whole point of it is that they heard a rumor that Red Three Trees is fighting with the Union. He's like, yep, and Tolduru, Harding Grim, Black Down, all. He's like, yep, and it's like, wow, well, those are some of the sort of names that a man might want to follow. And then Dogman's like, are you trying to follow? He's like, yep, we might be. Me and my Carls. They're looking to jump ship.
Yeah.
So he's gonna take him back to the camp to talk to Three Trees and see what Three Trees makes of him. And he's like, all right, so you walk up first, and
But just be careful with that arrow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, just be careful. He's like, don't you worry about that. The dog man don't mess with that." He's like, oh, he just trips, and then he almost shoots Shivers. It's like, Jesus. and then he's like, all right, look, I could have just punched you in your fucking face right now. Can I just put my hands down? He's like, all right, fine. So
Yeah.
they get to the camp. Dow immediately is like, who the fuck is this bastard? And apparently, because we know that Dow's a little shorter than everybody, and Shivers is a tall dude, but Dow's like, he's a tall bastard. I'm not talking up to a tall bastard. Sit down. He pushes.
And Shivers takes it so well. It just like props himself up, and he's just like looking up at him, like, "I'll just stay down here then. That's fine."
Yeah. He's like, I didn't choose to be tall any more than you chose to be an asshole. And then he's like, oh no, Shivers is about to get his
chose to be an arsehole. I like that. I like him. Who is he?
And then they do the whole thing again. He's like, his name's Shivers. He's Rattleneck's son. And then Dow's like, but did it 9 fingers? He's like, his other son. But he'd be no more than work it out. He's like, fuck, that long.
That long, eh?
Yeah.
I love how it is just the same thing again, but it's
it's
faster.
cyclical. I love it. And then then Toll comes around, and there's Grim, and there's Three Trees, and Shivers is like awestruck. It's like he's meeting all his celebrity crushes. He's just like, okay, oh wow, you guys, wow, my god. And then he's like, all right, what you want? He's like, all right, well, he thought the way you did, and I'm cut from his cloth, and serving Bethod just sucks. And then Three Trees like, well, maybe I think a man should just pick to his chief and stick to him. He's like, yeah, I thought so too, but I always thought it should cut both ways. The chief should look out for his people too, right?
Mm.
And Bethod don't care about nobody. And then he tells him about like this witch, Karib, which we met in the first book
Yeah.
when he talked all that shit to Baez and did not work out too well for her. Apparently, she controls the mist, and there's no purpose to this war. They don't understand it.
He gives a fuck about Angland anyway.
Yeah, right. And
It's always interesting that we don't really know what Bethod's motive behind this is.
well, I think even Baez mentioned it before in the first book.
Apart from to unite the clan.
It's to unite the clan against a common enemy instead of just fighting amongst themselves or fighting against Bethod.
Ironically, he. Well, I can't say anything spoilers, but the thing is that Bethod. That I think it is come down to that, because if they don't have an enemy, they're not going to unite, because that's the way they are, the North. And I mean, Bethod. I'll say this: Bethod is not wrong.
He's not right either.
Well, he's not doing the right thing.
But I mean, like literally,
also...
like he started this war to unite the clans, and here is one of the clans like fucking defecting because they can't be asked fighting anymore.
Yeah, but that is also because of the reason that he also states here, which is, well, the thing is so long as he has a majority, there's always going to be defectors, but everybody would break up eventually without having a common enemy. And that sounds like really nihilistic, but the Northmen are that way. I mean, without getting into spoilers, think about even later on. I mean, they do the same shit. They can't help themselves.
True. They are a contentious people.
And they have a tendency to get with their clans and stuff. Bethod changed all that.
They're a quarrelsome lot. That's right.
A quarrelsome lot.
And
a broody bunch.
Miserable cunts. Anyway, and we also got some more background that like Bethod, like one of the reasons that the Northerners are not happy is that Bethod's been bringing along some strange people, these Easterners from out past the Krina, bones and hides men. They don't speak the same language as we do. Savages. He's got some down in the Union Fortress there. It ain't right what they're doing. They're cutting the bloody cross into people. Basically, what he's telling us is that the Northerners are they're anti-immigration, and then
and they're also racist.
And they're racist.
Fucking weak ass Southerners.
I like how everyone has somebody that they call a savage.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody.
It's a nice touch, Joe. Nice touch.
And
like the Gurkish call the Union the savages, and then the Union call the Northmen the savages, and the Northmen call the people from right beyond the Krina the savages. It's just like on and on and on and on.
Yep. And then they also
I love this when he's like, I don't like Calder and Scale tossing out orders like they know shit from porridge.
Fucking Calder.
Fucking Scale.
Oh, those bitches. That's what it reminded me of.
And then at the end here, we find out that Bethod has made a deal with the Shanker. Somehow.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then
find out.
Also about this Fenris the Feared as well.
Well, yeah, he's basically like, and that's not even to mention this fucking feared guy. And they're like, huh? Who? Where you been? It's like, under the ice? Yeah, what do you think?
Pretty much.
And that's where we end this chapter. Fellas, where do you rate this chapter?
I'm gonna go with a 5 out of 9. It's a good chapter for showing some change and some differences, and it makes the North seem significantly more complex than we've been led to believe. Which is a really nice addition to the story. And I always love Black Dao, period. So anytime he's in a chapter, I like it more and more each time I read through it. But I think it's fairly mediocre since it is kind of just like a setting up chapter. But
I think I'm going to give it exactly the same. Like I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
Nice. To be honest, I was going to give it a 5 too.
Woo!
Trifecta. Go ahead, George.
Exactly those reasons. Like, we get this bit more complexity with the North, and especially the comedy. This is a very funny chapter.
Oh
It's,
yeah,
like the bits with them jerking around at the beginning, and fucking talk about being super serious with the bow, and then like tripping and firing the arrow, and then it's very funny. And also introduction to Shivers, who's one of the best characters in the series.
Shivers is top tier for sure.
And to elaborate on the thing that you said earlier, I think it's more of how Bethod had the right idea of bringing the North together to fight an enemy, but how he went about it wasn't the best way, because he brought Easterners over because he needed the men, and then he grabbed Karib probably because he was worried about Baez, and he's got this feared guy as his champion, so he can never lose. But as he got into the position of power, he started to lose touch of what the North was actually supposed to be about, and how to actually keep them united. Yeah, fight a common enemy, but how he went about it ended up,
Yeah.
not being the smartest thing to do, perhaps.
Yeah, that's true. Very good point. So thank you for that, Harrison. Now we'll move on to our next segment, which is our community interaction segment. Harrison, take it away.
We did do a poll again this week, and I did one for the best potential next book. Didn't have as many participants this time, although we did get piggybacked, which is okay. We want to inspire our audience to make their own posts and stuff. But
I saw that. It was so funny.
It was more funny. We posted this, and then like the next day somebody said a pirate style first law book would be amazing.
Yeah, and they got more likes and comments.
Yeah, I'm like, bastard. It was seriously more funny than anything. I'm actually glad that made him want to make like a post about it. That's kind of cool. So I basically said just some ideas, and this is basically just the Bloody Nines ideas. The Bloody Niners, who was on our guest spot, which is hysterical and political, like a political kind of drama, or like a set piece for Steric Land, however you want to set that up. Kind of caught in between the old empire and stuff, and then somewhere in Kanta, kind of a horror sort of novel, having to do something with the Eaters, maybe Pharaoh. Would be epic. Then the pirate style, which we just mentioned, like it would fit Joe's style so well to have a pirate book. I feel like
so many fantasy series go that way though. You end up with like
piratey.
Go piratey.
Wait, which one do you mean?
Like the Realm of the Elderlings. Like you go from first trilogy to the second one, which is just all about the ships and shit.
That is weird. Maybe not. We're gonna exit that one. No one can do that pirate. Moving into the very first new trilogy, which would be unfortunate. I wouldn't want to do that yet. Maybe a Joppo Mercado Insteria kind of book, because Joppo is awesome. And maybe like a Sharp Ends Part 2, which I think would be really cool, because we could have like some more background stuff and have some more point of views of characters that don't get as much time. But
as far as I'm concerned, he can keep making Sharp Ends books forever.
Yeah. Oh my god, he would be so good at it. But the Kanta focused horror involving some eaters or something was the one that won, which makes sense because that was a super cool idea.
Yeah.
He should do it.
Yeah, that would be epic, dude. Some people commented and stuff. As always, appreciate everyone for mentioning stuff. Also, I noticed that this is totally random. I didn't mention this to you guys, but I just was talking to a guy on Reddit here. He was talking about why isn't the first law more popular. And obviously, we gave him a hard time, like, hey, we're doing our best over here, trying to spread the good news.
Trying to do the Lord's work.
Yeah, and he talked about how basically, it's, we have that stuff, but it's fairly low interaction, which is true. Only some people are going to listen to a podcast, which is why we try to do the other stuff, like the website and the YouTube and the polls and all that. But he also mentioned how no one's like updated the First Law wiki in a long time, for like the new trilogy, which I thought was interesting. I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah.
It might be a good thing. Whoever is interested in doing that, I'm a call to arms.
Well, find out who's in
I think
charge of it.
It's a wiki. Everybody can contribute.
Yeah.
I thought there was one person in charge of it though. For that one.
There probably is.
I
There's
don't think
probably a community manager or something like that.
Yeah,
There might be, yeah. But either way, it'd be kind of cool to have that updated because a lot of people do go to that. It's kind of cool that there is a first law wiki. It just needs some updating. So I'm gonna probably try to do that at some point here in the future. Work on it. I think that would be a good thing to do. But anyways, that's all.
Cool. Thank you,
Thanks, Harrison.
Thanks, guys.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next time as we cover Cheap at a Price, To the Edge of the World, Before the Storm, and Questions.
And make sure you follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Reddit, we're on Twitter, and we have a website, circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use to listen to podcasts on. And please make sure to rate and review as it helps to spread our reach. Thank you all again for listening.
Thinking and walking, pray do not strain yourself.